जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivgracharya Stutara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Iti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Desatarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nascha Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Samambonam, Chapter 68, The Marriage of Samba. We are doing texts 42, 43. I'll read 42 first, then we can do in unison 43. Jalayanam ivagurnam gangayam nagaram patad akrishyamanam alokya kaurava jata sambramaha. So now we'll do the verse on the board. Tam eva sharanam jakmuhu sa kutumba Jiji Vishwaha Sa Lakshmanam Purakritya Sambam Pranjalayaha Prabhum Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakudumba jijivishavaha. Sakutumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakutumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakutumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Jagmuhu. Sakudumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Mothers. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakutumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakudumba jijivishvaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tameva sharanam jagmuhu. Sakudumba jijivishavaha. Salakshmanam puraskritya. Sambam pranjalaya prabhum. Tam, to him, Lord Balaram, eva, indeed, sharanam, for shelter, jagmuhu, they went, sa, with, kutumbaha, their families, jijivishavaha, wanting to remain alive, sa, with, Lakshmanam, Lakshmana, Purakritya, placing in front, Sambam, Samba, Pranjalaya, with palms joined in supplication, Prabhum, to the Lord, Translation, purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada the key. Jai. Now the translation is for both 42 and 43. Seeing that their city was tumbling about like a raft at sea as it was being dragged away, and that it was about to fall into the Ganges, the Kauravas became terrified. To save their lives, they approached the Lord for shelter, taking their families with them. Placing Samba and Lakshmana in front, they joined their palms in supplication. Please repeat. Seeing that their city was tumbling about like a raft at sea as it was being dragged away, and that it was about to fall into the Ganges, the Kauravas became terrified. To save their lives, they approached the Lord for shelter, taking their families with them. Placing Samba and Lakshmana in front, they joined their palms in supplication. It's a short purport. The city of Hastinapura began to roll about like a raft in a stormy sea. The frightened Kauravas, to quickly appease the Lord, immediately brought Samba and Lakshmana and placed them in front. I'll read a few more. I may finish the chapter. Text 44. Rama Rama Kiladara Prabhavam na vidamate mudanam na ku buddhinam shantum arhasi atikramam. The Kauravas said, O Rama, Rama, foundation of everything, we know nothing of your power. Please excuse our offense, for we are ignorant and misguided. Sthiti utpati apyayanam tvam eko hetu nirashrayah lokan kridanakanisha kridataste vadantihi. You alone cause the creation, maintenance and annihilation of the cosmos, and of you there is no prior cause. Indeed, O Lord, authorities say that the worlds are mere playthings for you as you perform your pastimes. Tvameva mudnidam anantalilaya bhumandalam bibarshi sahasramuddan antecharya swatmaniruddha vishvaha sheshe dvitiya parishishyamanaha. O unlimited one, of 1,000 heads, as your pastime, you carry this earthly globe upon one of your heads. At the time of annihilation, you withdraw the entire universe within your body, and remaining all alone, lie down to rest. Kopaste kila shikshartam na dveshana cha matsara bibrato bhagavan sattvam sthiti palana tatparaha. Your anger is meant for instructing everyone. It is not a manifestation of hatred or envy. O Supreme Lord, you sustain the pure mode of goodness, and you become angry only to maintain and protect this world. The Kurus admit that Lord Balarama's anger was entirely appropriate and in fact was meant for their benefit. As Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti puts it, the Kurus meant to say, because you exhibited this anger, we have now become civilized, whereas previously we were wicked and could not see you, blinded as we were by pride. Text 48. Namaste sarva bhutatman sarva shakti dharavyaya vishwakarman namaste stu tvam vayam sharanam gataha. We bow down to you, O soul of all beings, O wielder of all potencies, O tireless maker of the universe. Offering you obeisances, we take shelter of you. The Kauravas clearly realized that their lives and destinies were in the hands of the Lord. Shri Shuka Vacha Evam Prapanai Samvignair Vepamana Yanair Balaha Prasadita Suprashanno Ma Baisteti Abhayam Dadao. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus propitiated by the Kurus, whose city was trembling and who was surrendering to him in great distress, Lord Balarama became very calm and kindly disposed toward them. "Do not be afraid," he said, and took away their fear. Text 50 and 51. Duryodhana paribarham kunjaran sastihayanam dadaucha dvadasa shatani ayutani turangaman ratanam satsahasrani raukmanam suryavarchasam dashinam nishkakantinam sahasram duhitri vatsalaha. Duryodhana, being very affectionate to his daughter, gave as her dowry 1,260-year-old elephants, 120,000 horses, 6,000 golden chariots, shining like the sun, and 1,000 maidservants with jewel lockets on their necks. Text 52. Pratigrihya tat sarvam bhagavan satvata rishabhaha sasuta sasnu sa prayat suridbir abhinanditaha. The Supreme Lord, chief of the Yadavas, accepted all these gifts and then departed with his son and daughter-in-law as his well-wishers bid him farewell. Tata pravishta swapuram halayuda samitya bandhun anurakta chetasa sashamsha sarvam yadupungavanam madhye sabhayam kurusu swachestitam. Then Lord Halayuddha entered his city Dwaraka and met his relatives, whose hearts were all bound to him in loving attachment. In the assembly hall, he reported to the Yadu leaders everything about his dealings with the Kurus. Text 54. Adhyapi chapuram hi etat suchaya rama vikramam samunnatam dakshinato gangayam manudrishyate. Even today, the city of Hastinapura is visibly elevated on its southern side along the Ganges, thus showing the signs of Lord Balarama's prowess. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes as follows: for the most part, it was the practice of the Kshatriya kings to inaugurate some kind of fighting between the parties of the bride and bridegroom before the marriage. When Samba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elderly members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without any respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Samba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balarama came personally to settle the matter. And as a powerful Kshatriya, he ordered them to free Samba immediately. The Kauravas became superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balaram's power. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Shamba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate toward his daughter Lakshmana, had her married to Samba in great pomp. Balaram was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started toward his capital city of Dwaraka. Lord Balaram triumphantly reached Dwaraka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balarama narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to hear how Balaram had made the city of Hastinapura tremble. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 68th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Marriage of Samba. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Alright, so as it is stated here in the final purport, quoting Srila Prabhupada, that the fighting that you have seen, again we are going reiterating the same points again and again, but it's nice to remember the pastime. So the Kshatriyas have this what do you call behavior, or so to speak. Prabhupada says they like to inaugurate some kind of party, fighting between parties. They enjoy that. It is part of their nature. They are very passionate, and in being passionate, one of the things that they look forward to is fighting. Happy are the Kshatriyas who get to fight even if they don't look for it, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. So they like that. And so in the Swayamvara, where generally the lady or the bride or the princess, she has the right to pick her husband. It could be a prince, it could be a king, whoever she chooses. But at the same time, the provision is that the Kshatriyas can challenge who she chooses also. Sometimes they won't. They probably, when they do the ceremony where there's some competition, and when they see the person is better than them, they may not challenge. They say, it's okay, I won't challenge. Because they may understand that, what if I lose to this guy, then people will think less of me. They have that pride there. So, in this Swayamvara, Lakshmana already wanted to select a husband, and Samba wasn't actually invited for that. But he kind of liked her, I guess. He probably must have seen pictures or whatever in the Facebook or wherever. And so, so he goes after her, and in his, as we've read, all of his Krishna's sons have similar potency as Krishna in terms of the strength as a Kshatriya kings and so on, but not as complete as Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so when he went there, he easily defeated whoever challenged him and carried away Lakshmana, the daughter of Duryodhana. And whilst he was taking her away, the elderly members of the Kuru didn't like what he did, and so they challenged him. And as Prabhupada says, they didn't challenge him properly because they fought in greater numbers. Generally, there's different gradations of Kshatriyas, just like in the army you have the foot soldier, then you have the corporal, then you have the sergeant, then you have the lieutenant, and then you have the captain. So there are different grades and generals and so on. So similarly, when Samba, who is also a Maharati, he was challenged by, I believe, 5 or 6 other Maharatis also. So it's 1 to 5. It's not considered to be a fair fight. In any case, because it wasn't a fair fight, he was overwhelmed and they captured him. And that news was transmitted to the Yadavas or the Vrishnis. And when they heard about it, they became very unhappy because Ugrasena said they challenge unfairly, it is not acceptable. And so they also, being Kshatriyas, began to become more angry. Yes, we will fight, And so they were about to come in a force. That's when Lord Balaram intervened as a well-wisher of both family members, the Kurus and the Yadavas. He decided that this is not the way to settle this problem, and he took it as a mediator, and he went to parley on behalf of the Yadavas. But you can see, it's interestingly, even though Lord Balaram came and spoke to the Kurus, they became very puffed up, arrogant, and they in fact defied the Lord's instructions to them. And so they spoke very harshly towards him, and just to teach them a lesson, Lord Balaram took on this mood of being angry with them. Not only that, he also showed, you can say he awakened them to the understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes when you get overly familiar with the person, you might not respect them properly. Just like when the disciple serves the spiritual master very closely, it may come to a point where the disciple will take the spiritual master for granted, or think that, oh, he's just an ordinary person. So it's a very dangerous situation. And so I remember once that when my Guru Maharaj was serving Srila Prabhupada, that after some time Srila Prabhupada told him, you should pay obeisance whenever you see me. So, and my Guru Maharaj said, yes, sure, because Prabhupada said, if you become too familiar, then you will disrespect. So, every time he would come into the room, he'll pay obeisance. And then he'll pay obeisance after he's speaking to Prabhupada and go like that. So, he was being taught to see the spiritual master in the same way as one would come into the temple room and pay obeisance. The spiritual master is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sakshat Daribin Nasamastara Shastre. I remember also when I was serving for many years, my spiritual master, one time he says, you are here with me for so long, you'll get so complacent, and you will, become too familiar. So you should pay obeisance to me whenever you come into my room or you see me. Then I said, yeah, no problem. So I was doing that. So after some time, he said, oh, stop that, you're doing too much, So it's kind of funny, but the respect must be there. So here we see the Kauravas. You can see they are very puffed up by their material coverings. The Kurus here, the Kauravas, are more materialistic than the Yadavas and the Pandavas, who are more covered by the, one can say, Yogamaya potency. Whereas the Kurus here, they are more materialistic. They are more in terms of their position, the honor, respect, and things like that. So you can see they are showing some pride. And you can see also in the previous chapters when we were reading how Indra also got some pride, and then he was like, how can this little boy, say that they can't worship me? I don't like this. And so you can see how he manifested his anger. Pride goes before you fall. So similarly, he gave up due to his pride. He came to test Krishna. And not only that, later on also, when Krishna got married, right? We read previously when he married Satyabhama. She was a bit, she was a co-wife, but she didn't like the fact that Krishna gave Rukmini a parijata flower. And she's like, how you gave her and you didn't give me, So she got into a kind of a tiff and anger with Krishna. So Krishna said, no problem, I'll give you a whole tree of parijata flower. So when he went to the heavenly planets and he took the tree, Indra, instead of giving the tree to the Supreme Lord, started to fight with Krishna again, because he's proud. He's with his other demigods, he's the king of the demigods, and he wants to show the position. And so when we are in this kind of pride, and in this situation, we get covered by the material energy, then we will commit offenses and stuff like that. And obviously Krishna showed Indra who he was. Similarly also you can see how Brahma also was bewildered when the cowherd boys were entering the mouth of Ahasura, right? And at that time, Krishna also follows them and he kills this Aghasura. And so much so the denizens of the upper planetary systems, all the sages and so on, they were so like Janaloka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, they were like, wow, this is so amazing, he defeated this demon. And so they were singing celestial praises and Vedic prayers like that. And so Brahma, who was watching that, was thinking, how is this possible? This little boy, they are praying to him like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I can't see that, And so he comes quickly in his airplane to check out this young boy, It's interesting because at the very beginning of this pastime, the advent of Krishna itself, when the planet Earth, Bhumi Devi approaches Lord Brahma himself goes to the milk ocean and worships Narayana to please come and sort out the situation in the planet, to help with the atrocities that are caused by all these demonic kings like Kamsa, Jarasandha, etc., etc. And the Lord told him, yes, I will come. And when he came into the in Mathura as 400 form first. He displayed himself, and the demigods were all able to see that. And after that, he becomes a little boy and goes to Vrindavan and to do his pastime like that. And still Brahma is bewildered here. He gets bewildered in this particular pastime. So he was seeing how is this little boy is Krishna, the Narayana that I know, So he comes down in his airplane, in a swan airplane, and when he comes, he sees Krishna sitting with all these cowherd boys. They are sitting in a circle, and then he has prasad in one hand, prasad in another hand, prasad in his mouth, and then he's thinking, how is this person be the supreme person? So then he decides to test the Supreme Lord to see what power he has. And obviously you can see later on Krishna manifests his supreme potency. How when Brahma, even though he takes all these cowherd boys and hides them. And that's another thing also. How can Brahma even take these cowherd boys? Because they are all transcendental personalities. So and Brahma is still within this material universe. So he actually couldn't, because he is also covered by the Yoga Maya in this case. And therefore these cowherd boys that seemingly disappeared from his eyes were not the actual cowherd boys, and the cowherd boys that he thought he was taking were my cowherd boys that he hid somewhere. So and then when this was done, Krishna is like, no, he took all my friends now. He's like, I'm kind of not happy with Brahma, So then to show Brahma out of his mercy and compassion, he then exhibits this amazing potency where he expands as the cowherd boys. And so for 1 year, from Brahma's point of view, it's probably less than a second, but from our point of view, time is 1 year. So for 1 year, Krishna expands as the cowherd boys, as the calves also, because Brahma also steals the calves. And then everybody is thinking this is their son, and the cows are thinking these are my children, my calves, stuff like that. But Balaram was noticing there's something odd about the whole thing, because every time the calves would come, the cows would go into great happiness to see the calves and rush like anything, even though they have been weaned away. So Balaram was noticing all these things, and then he also saw that how even the cowherd men would have more affection for their children all of a sudden, And he was thinking, how is that possible? I can't understand what's going on, So Balaram was thinking, I'm also, no one can actually bewilder me. Material nature cannot bewilder me. But there's only one person who can bewilder me, that's Krishna. So he comes to Krishna, he talks to Krishna, and he asks Krishna, what's going on, So then Krishna reveals what had happened. So then Balaram understands this is the situation. So we can understand position of Krishna. He's Swayam Bhagavan, the original person. So he has some potencies that are beyond even our own understanding, even beyond the understanding of the personalities of Godhead themselves, like that. So you can see that that the Maya acts in one way for the living entities within this material universe. We are bewildered into identifying with the body, our needs, etc., etc., and then therefore we are not thinking like devotees. Then therefore we see the temporary nature of the world, or we think we can live in this world in a happy way. So sukha and dukkha is always there, but we cannot understand why we are going through those happiness and distress. Most of the time we think we are doing things properly. Every living entity in this world, in this material world, he or she is thinking, I am doing properly, even though they may not be following any proper rules and so on, but still among their own understanding they are thinking, I am doing properly, why am I suffering? So they are bewildered by the material energy into thinking that they are actually living a proper life like that. Whereas the devotees, they are bewildered by the Yogamaya potency. So that's the difference here. So here, of course, the Kauravas are bewildered, but they are bewildered. It is said that the Kauravas are actually not really devotees in that sense, except for, you can say, Bhishma Dev and to some extent Dronacharya. But otherwise, most of them are demoniac. Most of the Kauravas were demoniac. The 100 sons of Dhritarashtra are all demons, actually. And they are... Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Thai Gaura Premanandi. So yeah, so when they come to that intelligence, when they saw, this is interesting also, as you can see, Balaram shows his true abilities. When we become familiar with someone, we forget their abilities, we forget their nature, we forget what they are capable of doing. So therefore, you should be very careful how we associate with devotees also. We should always be very careful how we treat one another, for you never know what potency they may or may not reveal. Therefore, dealing with devotees has to be very, very careful, and one should not commit any offenses like that. So when Balaram therefore showed his potency, and his potency was not like potencies we can show, but in this case he showed with his halada, that the plough, and as mentioned earlier, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it transformed into a huge, tremendous size. And with that, he was dragging an entire city. Can we just imagine that? We can't even think about that. And as it is said at the end of this chapter, that even today the city of Hastinapur is visibly elevated on the southern side along the Ganges. So I'm not sure, I've never seen that, but if you all have gone and ventured and seen, if Delhi is up on one side or something like that, right? Is it New Delhi or Old Delhi, this Hastinapur? Do you all know? Anybody? You don't know? Yeah. Hastinapur, Hasti, land of the elephants. So there are lots of elephants. So elephants also showing the opulence of in those days. Of course, when they became frightened, they came rushing out. And if you remember the pastime in the 7th canto, when Narisinghadev got so angry, and all the demigods didn't know what to do, guess what Brahma did? He pushed Prahlad Maharaj in front. So similarly, when they saw Balaram was so angry, and Balaram had asked for them to release Samba and Lakshmana, so what they did is when they came rushing out, they immediately pushed both Samba and Lakshmana in front, so that the Lord will be appeased quickly. So generally when you know someone gets angry, you try to find the quickest way to please them and try to make sure that they are appeased. And so in the same way, the Kauravas, they were frightened. And what were they frightened of? They were frightened for their lives. A devotee is not frightened about whether he's going to live or die. That's the mood of the devotees. Like Prahlad Maharaj was poisoned, given all kinds of nasty situations where he was being tried to kill. Still, he was never frightened because he always had the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Whereas here the Kauravas became frightened for their own lives because Lord Balaram, what did he say? He was going to get rid of the entire Kuru dynasty. So they became frightened. What will happen? Oh, what will happen? Just like what will we think when we are at the time of death? How are we going to react, right? Do we run to Krishna to take shelter? Do we take shelter of devotees? Or do we take shelter of our minds, right? So you can see here, in one sense, it was good that they came to the Lord and they supplicated in front of Him, asking Him for the forgiveness. And Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, in the purport at the end, he says that all this is a kind of a pastime also. That the Kauravas, in one sense, they accepted Samba, but in another sense, out of pride, they could not accept him directly, but they wanted to test him. And so they challenged him and finally put him in shackles. At the same time, they also became angry with Balaram to see his prowess, to see his inconceivable strength. And therefore, when the whole incident was done, they came and with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter Lakshmana to Shamba. And of course, to make it the contract complete, Duryodhana gives his for his daughter's wedding dowry. 1,260-year-old elephants, prime candidates, best elephants. You can see how the Kshatriyas value their... It's not that he is saying this is the value of my daughter. It's more than that. The whole idea behind dowry is to show the person taking the daughter that I treat my daughter so wonderfully, and I'm giving you all these resources so that you can also maintain that standard of service to my daughter like that. Not that nowadays it's like, all right, it's how much profit I gain. It's all corrupted nowadays. So it's amazingly, they had 1,260-year-old elephants. 60-year-old means they are in the prime. The elephants are in the prime. And nowadays you can't even get 60-year-old elephants. They've all been killed unnecessarily, particularly in Africa. In India, I don't think you can even see elephants except in the Kerala area. And then also the forests have been taken over unjustly, and the elephants get angry. They come and destroy the plots of land they are growing, and then the farmers will retaliate. They kill the poor elephants like that. So you don't find in South Africa all the old elephants, they call them the tuskers. That means they have long tusks. They say nowadays they can't find many tuskers because they've been all killed. And also they found that in some groups of elephants, they've stopped producing elephants with tusks. Because people, they realize they have been killed for the tusks, so they are also making sure that they don't grow big tusks. So it's interesting, even they can understand, this bunch of crazy guys are coming for the tusks. Let us stop producing tuskers, But all these regal elephants and so on, you don't see much anymore. And then just see, 120,000 horses as a gift, It doesn't make sense for us. Nowadays we think in terms of monetary things or assets. Will you build my daughter a big house, or instead of a horse, give me a house like that. Or buy some jewelry. A lot of the Indians they think like that. How much gold you're going to give? Things like it's all become a business proposals. 6,000 golden chariots shining like the sun. We can hardly see one chariot nowadays. Those days, the chariots. Probably you'll see one or two in Westminster Abbey in the United Kingdom. When the Queen goes out, they have a kind of chariot. You don't hardly see much. Nowadays, the only chariot we know is Ratha Yatra chariots, and that's good enough for us. And 1,000 maid servants. And these are all qualified ladies who will know how to take care of the princess nicely. Nowadays, you cannot even get one maid servant. So many places in the world, they are maids. The countries send the maids, and these maids are not interested in serving actually. They just want to do the minimal. They want to have all these medical holidays. That's the first thing they talk when the employer is employing. So things around the world has changed. The culture then This is coming towards Kali Yuga. This is towards the end of Dwapara Yuga. But you can see the dichotomy in the standards then and now. It's starkly contrasting, and we have to understand the culture then, what it was focused on, and the culture now, what it is being focused on. Totally diametrically opposed, and so we are not able to actually understand our goals of life. And so wonderful personalities sent by Krishna like Srila Prabhupada and his associates are here to teach us, and we should take shelter of them, try to understand and make our lives successful, and in doing so we can also make lives of others who come within our circles, their lives also successful like that. These pastimes are to show the prowess of the Lord, that how quickly they can settle things. And interestingly, after the whole incident, Balaram brings the couple back to Dwaraka, and there he tells his story, and everyone is so, Prabhupada writes, and they were astonished to hear how Balaram had made the city of Hastinapur tremble. Right? When the hurricane comes through Houston and so on, aren't you all astonished to see the strength and the power and the potency of the hurricane? Right? And similarly, when the earthquake strikes in Mexico and in Turkey and so on, it is just astonishing. It is simply astonishing that such things can happen and we have no control over it. But here you can see the Lord exhibited to show that everything is in His control. And so we appreciate that, and we fondly remember this pastime so that we can also look up to the Lord and recognize His position. Like that. So I'll stop here. Comments, questions, corrections, feel free to do so if you want to. Anything to add, Mataji? No. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for class.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment on the behaviors of Lord Balaram, and how just appreciate his expression of anger. And in the material world, oftentimes we see people, they'll get angry at somebody because they feel they're offended, and then they want to get some sort of payback or something, retribution. But Balaram, he got angry. He was offended in many ways, but his anger was only an expression to teach them a lesson and kind of elevate them. Yeah. And once they learned that lesson and sought his forgiveness, the anger was completely gone. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a very nice point. Thank you very much. Yeah. Most of us hold our anger, hold our grudges to the graves, Yeah, so that's a very good. Immediately he was saying, no problem, forget it completely, make advancement. So, very nice point. Yes? Can you speak?
You got me thinking, like you were saying how the maid servants, when you try to hire them, they're thinking, what's my vacation and this, that. So we are servants of Krishna. What should our mood be when we come? Sometimes it's hard to keep in context.
The focus, no? Yeah.
Can you please speak about that?
Yeah. So when it all boils down to how we understand our constitutional position in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's so important. When we come to Krishna consciousness, I guess it's like we are herded into the temple room, and then we are herded into the Sankirtan, we are herded into Prasadam room like that. But very few opportunities are there where we are actually told, at least in my experience, why we are doing these activities, the service. But when I was serving with my spiritual master, I thoroughly understood what the servant's job is all about. He made it very clear. He also said there is a line. This is the spiritual master is on this side and the servant is on that side. And what is that means is, he said, I remember also once I was massaging him also. Then he said, did you cut your fingernails? Then I said, yes. And then he said, do you know when you serve the deities, you should not have fingernails? I said, yes. and so he was teaching clearly what we have to understand. Our position is, what is the spiritual master position is, what the deity's position is. So what is the mood of the maid servant, or the maid, or the servant itself? Is that, what can I do that will please the spiritual master or the devotees in general? What are the things that I can do that will please all of these devotees? Not so much as what I get from this. When we come to the Hare Krishna movement, it is not what I get. Of course, initially we are thinking, I want to go back to Godhead. At least you should have that desire. But unless you understand the philosophy nicely, you will not cultivate the mood of a servant. So you can see, even in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopir Bhartu Kamala Dasa Dasa Anudasa, where he says he doesn't even want to be the servant or the maid servant close to Krishna. He rather be the servant of the servant of the servant, unlimited like that. So whoever is coming to the temple, taking up the process nicely, and we should want to serve them. We should always think how I can make their Krishna conscious life that much more pleasing. Because if we create a situation where they always feel welcome, feel love, then they want to stay. They want to participate in the process wholeheartedly. Otherwise, it's always a calculation. Now, this person is there. I don't like her face. I don't like his face. So I will wait until they are not here. So it's always a materialistic concept. But in reality, we are all supposed to work together. Srila Prabhupada writes where we are all supposed to be dancing in the Rasa Leela together. Not like, one person and the other person is kicked out. No, we are all meant to help one another in such a way that each and every one of us is recognized by Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So we help them in their Krishna conscious that way. So when we help someone, we do good for them, they benefit, and it benefits us because Krishna becomes pleased that we are trying to bring them towards him closer, like that. So the maid or the servant's attitude should always be how I can serve someone in their Krishna consciousness. So I would say like that, unless you have something else. Good? Okay. Mata, she has a seminar, she can talk about it. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari. We should change this lamp, because the light is too... Isn't it blinding, isn't it? I don't like it.